emergency. You are tuned to the emergency station.
Hello, everybody. I'm Eric,
and I'm Matt.
Sorry to surprise you with the David thing. I did want to kind of drop that on you, and yeah, it's been since October since we've been on here, man. I mean, it's yeah, and unfortunately, during that time span, we did lose a dear member of the Romero family, Mr. David Emge, who had last 20 years or so of his life had not been particularly kind to him. But unfortunately he did pass away, and it's, what can we say? It's hate to lose him.
Yeah, that was you shocked me there for a little bit. I'm still kind of collecting myself for a little bit, but yeah, no, Dave was a great friend. We all loved Flyboy, and it sucks losing these folks we've been watching for now 40 years or more, and I'm sure, I think we're going to go long form for Dave here very soon. You and we got good stories and a lot of folks that share time with him, so I think we'll definitely honor his memory. We love you, Dave. We miss you. You were one of the best, so thanks for everything.
Absolutely, and we'll have more on that before too long. And you guys may notice a slightly new format tonight. And actually, we're back. We're trying to be more routine, and we're going to be doing these shows on the first Wednesday of every month. So we'll have some more formal announcements coming out about that. But you can you can plan on routinely tuning in on a normal schedule from here on out. So that's the plan, and I'm not sure if the David episode will be next, but that's what we're thinking right now.
Yeah, I'd like that to be our next show, just getting some stuff put together for that, and we can spend a good time reminiscing about our friend and do him up right, because he was one of the best. So yeah, first Wednesday of every month, Eric and I are going to be on your tablets, computers, iPhones, Androids, smart TVs, or whatever. So get used to us. It's going to be like it was 2020 again. You're not going to be able to get rid of us now. So,
all right. Well, Matt, why don't you just tell us a little bit about our guest that we have on board for tonight?
Sure. I'm excited for this one. A friend of mine reached out to me and said, "Hey, Shawn Roberts worked with George, and he's got a new movie coming on Screenbox. And did you want to talk to him?" And I said, the answer is always yes. So we've got Shawn Roberts with us here tonight, who you may know from Land of the Dead, Diary of the Dead, X-Men, Resident Evil, and now the new movie Here for Blood, which is streaming on Screenbox. Let's bring on Shawn. Let's get him on here.
Hey, Shawn, how's it going?
Excellent. Thanks for having me.
No, thanks for coming on, man. We appreciate it. There you are.
Yeah. Sorry for that.
Thanks
for coming on, and we appreciate you joining us here on GARF 247. And we've already got somebody screaming Wesker in the chat room. Go ahead, Matt.
I was going to say, I know we'll get to Wesker, who is one of the best video game villains out there, and you get to play him. So we will definitely be talking some Wesker. But you got your new movie Here for Blood on Screenbox. Talk a little bit about that. Let's hype up some of the folks that may not know about Screenbox or have noticed, because this just came out, I think, February 9th or so. So hype us up about that.
Yikes. Okay. Hype you up. Man, you got to see this movie if you're in America, but if you're anywhere else, I guess you just got to wait. It's called Here for Blood. It's an independent film that we shot in Southern Ontario, raised, crowdfunded, we'll call it. It's a story about a little girl who is the focus of a satanic cult to maybe sacrifice her and bring over some demons. And the one thing they didn't account for was the babysitter, which ends up being me. And chaos ensues. The movie is called Here for Blood. And, we definitely brought the blood. There is crew members spent probably a week cleaning up blood. Not real blood, obviously, guys, come on. But still, like the red stuff. It was incredible. It was, it was, the story is amazing of watching the movie. Fun, awesome. It's ridiculous. But the story of the people who came together to make it, I think, that's sort of where the magic was. Seeing people work for free in the middle of the night at the end of summer when, there was a lot of people volunteering their time, which I'm extremely grateful for, because I know we wouldn't have been able to make it without that. It was, I think, just towards the end of the COVID craziness, and so we had to negotiate a little bit of that, but it didn't play in too much, which was nice, refreshing. And yeah, it was an opportunity that came to me from some friends who I've worked with before, and they said, "Well, there's this movie that's happening locally in town. And are you interested? What are you doing?" And I said, "Well, I'm an actor. We take any job that comes along. So absolutely, yes, I'm available. What is it?" And then I started reading the script, and I had to stop because I was like, "Well, it feels like a lot of these words are the words that I might say. So was this written for me? This is ridiculous." And turns out James Roberts, no relation, wrote the script. And he did a heck of a job of producing it as well. We managed to pound this out in I think 26 days or something like that. It was quick. Because it's challenging from the technical side of working with a child because they have limited hours, obviously. So we had to really sort of streamline our processes and trust each other. And that was, in the beginning, I think there was a moment when actually the first scene that we shoot is, I think, the last scene of the movie, one of the last scenes in the movie. Everything's happening right there. And I think we did the first scene, one of the last scenes, together. And as actors, we all turn and we look at each other. We're like, is this what we're doing? Is that it? Like, yeah. Okay, good. So ridiculous it is. And so it was a dream come true, because I realized that, I like action. That's amazing. Love kicking ass. But on the other side of things, I want to go to work every day and I want to have a laugh. I want to have a giggle like anybody else. So, sometimes working on, horror movies can be a little dark and a little heavy, but this was one where there was giggles and, gut-wrenching laughter basically every day. And that's, man, that's living the dream. And it really was. It was an incredible experience. And now here we are. Was it 2 years after we finished shooting the movie? We got some interest. We teamed up with Screenbox. They've been super supportive, and it's available streaming. And if you're bored and you want to turn your brain off, that's the kind of movie you want to watch.
Well, I'd like to say that when I did watch it, I was surprised, not by you, but you play a wrestler, which Eric and I are big wrestling marks. So you got to do a little bit of wrestling at the beginning of the movie. And, stereotypically wrestlers are portrayed a certain way, and you don't portray that type of character. And I really appreciated that, because you were a nice guy from the start. You didn't have to get coerced to switch with Phoebe to go babysit, and you took care of the kid. And then all hell breaks loose. So I was watching it, and that was the first thing that stuck out to me, that I was like, he's playing a really nice guy. And it came through as kind of like genuine. Like I could see it come through the character. And You weren't just playing some, beat down wrestler or, like a typical meathead. Like I said right before we came on, I was like, okay, this is Jack Reacher versus evil. Because I was like, this dude's looking like Jack Reacher in this movie, and I was just enjoying it. So I appreciate how you played that character.
Well, thank you. Yeah, no, I mean, the reality is I just do what's on the page. So that's all James is craftsmanship. Like, there are some actors, I won't lie to you, who bring pages of work that they've done for their characters. And you can do that. And if that's part of your process, that's amazing. But my viewpoint is we've all agreed to what's on the page. So why don't you just do what's on the page? Because that's kind of what's expected. I would think, like, maybe I have it all wrong, which is why, things are a little dry right now. But yeah, this is just a testament to James' writing. I mean, if you put the beats in the script, then we're going to hit those beats. And yeah, man, it was nice to actually not just be like an ass. I have played a lot of terrible characters over the years, and hey, character, rapist or whatever, like terrible things. And it's not just be like a dude, a nice, just average dude. So it was, I'm lucky to have done it. I mean, I can't believe it took me this 30 years to get this role, but we finally got there, and thank you for the sweet words. It was, realistically, you're doing the work, you have good people to do it with. And I think, we got really lucky because, nobody was working. So we had access to some incredible actors. And yeah, I think the stars aligned. So, I would like to take credit for it, but I just stand on the mark and say the words. So it's not me, but thank you. I appreciate it.
No, it's definitely you. So let's take a look here. There, come on. How many horror films do you see someone covered in blood in a kitchen with a thumbs up? Like, you brought a lot to it, and I did not watch the trailer before watching the movie.
Okay.
So, and sometimes I like to do that. I like to go in as blind as possible and be like, where is this movie taking me? Did not see the humor kind of like caught me off guard. I was like, okay, it's cool, it's cute, the kid's funny and everything. And then I was like, wait a minute, where are we going with this? And the kitchen tends to be a centerpiece, and some things happen in the kitchen with a stove and all that stuff, and a lot of knife foo, as Joe Bob calls it, in this movie. And it was definitely a fun watch. And I definitely, if you folks have Screenbox, Eric and I are big physical media guys, so we're hoping it'll get a physical media release, because I think it's something that I think you can pop in with a group of friends and have a good time with.
Yeah, I think there's. I heard that there's some murmurings about a potential avenue to be able to get it on some old school material. I know I'm being cryptic, but like, you get what I say without actually saying it, so I don't get into trouble. But yeah, I think if anybody's really interested and a bit of a vintage fan, we'll have something for you soon. So we're working on it. But yeah, man, we just want people to see it, and thanks for supporting us. That's nice. Thank you.
Yeah, no, love it. I mean, that's why we do the GARF network and GARF 247. George was an independent filmmaker, one of the most prolific independent filmmakers. And I just said to a couple people last week, I was like, when you buy those DVDs and Blu-rays from like IFC and Lionsgate, watch the trailers that play, because there's a lot of great independent films that have trailers on these discs that you may not know about. Go watch them, because this would be one of them. I'd be like, you think see this? I'm like, oh, where's it at? And you go find it, and you're streaming somewhere, and you're entertained for 90 minutes or 2 hours or whatever it is. Don't sleep on independent films like this. And that's why I like places like Screenbox and Shudder, because they give you so much that you may not have ever come across, and that you can broaden your horizons in the film world.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And is the film a Screenbox exclusive right now?
Currently it is, yes.
Okay. All right.
So that's the only place, and I think they have a pretty good deal if you get over to their website, figure it out.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah, they're reasonable. I think they might be like $5 or $6 a month, and they've got a pretty decent library. And it's just one of those things. Turn it on, find something, grab a drink and a snack, and entertain yourself for a night, because stuff like this is on there that I think you'll be surprised with.
You mentioned earlier, and I don't know if you can go into it at all, but you said it was crowdfunded, Here for Blood.
Yeah, I don't know the particulars because obviously I show up a little later on in the story of that. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, if you watch the credits, there's like 1,000 producers. So, and I don't know what the minimum donation was to be a producer and show up on set, but we had people do that. So that was interesting. It was different, you know. And you get a movie made however you can, and that's exactly what they did. And I'm proud of those boys for being able to get it together and work with the City of London and use whatever they could to make it happen. And you know, it's nice that it actually, you know, people can see it, because you know there's a lot of movies that end up getting made and put together that never see the light of day. So it's a blessing.
Yeah, it's interesting. That sounds, you know, a lot like the same way that George raised funds, you know, in the early days. It was, you know, talking to dentists and, you know, whoever he could to get funds. So, I mean, it's just by any means necessary to get that project done. That's amazing. So congratulations. And that's exciting. You guys got that done, and looking forward to any future formats that may or may not appear on.
I mean, I do have a question. So you've worked on varying size productions. You've been in some very, very big movies. You've been in some, you know, good sized movies. What's the difference on set between a crowdfunded film like this one and some of the bigger productions? Is it more stressful, less stressful? What's the dynamic like between the different sets?
Interesting you ask that, because I feel like there's a certain excitement and a possibility and a naivete of doing a low budget film like this versus the people who show up on big budget, right? Big budget, you get professionals who are the best at their craft. So obviously there's a little confidence in that and sort of an expectation. Whereas in the low budget world, there's just pure optimism and just enthusiasm. And, you know, I mean, let's just get that together. Let's get a bunch of other people who feel the same way, and you know, something good should happen. And I think that's how we ended up with the result that we did, because you know, I don't know, it's been a long time since I've seen a movie kind of like this, and I think it resonated with people when they heard the storyline, and I'm hoping that, you know, it made sense when they start watching it. Like, yeah, I feel like society needs a movie like this just to turn everything off. It doesn't have a message. We're not trying to, you know, teach you anything. Just sit back, chill, eat some popcorn, or don't. But that's cool, you know? But yeah, you know, I mean, there's obviously some concessions that are made from the talent side of things. You're like, okay, well, I guess I'm not going to have whatever you're going to have. You're going to eat cheese and crackers versus maybe a turkey sandwich for a snack. Not a big deal. You shouldn't be eating anyway. You're an actor. Stop it. But you know, it was good. Typically on a big budget set, this is a little story from being on set, you wouldn't be cooking your meals in the kitchen that we're using as a set. There was a period of time that there was a roast duck sitting in our sets for like way longer than duck should be sitting out. But nonetheless, that was kind of overwhelming to overcome, because on a big set, you wouldn't just have meat sitting there in a pot for days and all the flies all over it. And it was really not awesome. We ate the duck, but there was a duck that was supposed to be eaten, and it was gross. And we would never have that on a big set. You know, you'd have a proper caterer and a tent and the things. So, you know, on low budget, you pack your own lunch, and that's fine. luckily Halloween was coming, so like you could get the little bags of chips and you could get the little chocolates and stuff. But yeah, there's no way you can sustain yourself from a set, at least a low budget set, because like it feels like continental breakfast at like Super 8. So, but that's, I mean, that's all the actors really notice is how's the food. Other than that, I mean, we're just happy to go and play pretend. So
Yeah.
I might not be the person to ask about that.
No, it's always great. I think people love those behind the scenes things because I think there's a lot of people that want to work on movies and they'll work on any movie, big, small, micro budget, whatever. And it's just nice to share those stories about, the catering aspect.
Yeah, well, that's just the just where it starts. But nonetheless, if you love film, it's not because it's the thing that's going to buy you a house. You do it because like you do it for free if you could. So
Yeah.
And then that was definitely the case of the people who showed up for Here for Blood. Like, yep, we're all lifers, and well, the carnival's not going right now, so I guess we're gonna make a movie.
Well, before we get too deep into it, I just want to say Suzanne Romero is watching as well, and she just wanted to say hello and thank you for coming on. Susan's obviously the main person behind the foundation, and she just wants to share her appreciation to you and everybody watching. So thank you, Suze. Hi.
Thank you. I'm sending you a big hug and just lots of love because it's George had a special place basically in anybody's heart that ever met him, and I know that you were always sort of right there standing behind him, and it's amazing that you've done this, so thank you. I appreciate it. His memory is still real strong, so no worries there. Good job.
Awesome. So let's get into it with George. I mean, that was the first time I really noticed you was Land of the Dead. How did you get involved with Land? Had you been a fan of George's? Had you been aware of his work? Tell us a little bit about that, the beginnings.
Well, I mean, that's the reality. I can make you a story up, but it's other actor, you go for an audition and you're like, okay, maybe I'll get this. I don't know. No, I mean, Toronto being a small town, that's where the Land of the Dead was filmed. There's a lot of rumors. Oh, there's a movie. Oh, okay. What's the movie? Who's the guy? Oh, wow. Okay. Well, this is different. This steps it up a level because obviously this is a budget level that is not synonymous with his name. So I mean, the excitement grew. Audition happened. Amazing. You're asking, like, so you'll have to give me some grace here while I try and remember what it was like to audition as a child. It was, well, I know there was some moments with John Leguizamo that were pretty incredible. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, there was no difference between how George was on set for Land of the Dead and then Diary of the Dead. And there was vastly different experiences and constraints that we were working with financially on those two. And, I mean, that's a testament to who he was because, a lot of directors wouldn't settle for just being like, I just want to tell my stories and it doesn't matter, we're going to figure out how to do it. Once you achieve a certain level of success, you sort of want to just stay at that level and keep cashing those checks. But George was the guy that wasn't a concern. And, that was pretty neat to see a legend sort of doing his craft. It's, there's something special. So you ever see anybody that's really good at something and you get to watch them, the same idea, right? You're just like, wow, it makes it look easy. And just, I guess one of the things that really stands out is how much time and grace that he had for people. I'm still trying to emulate even a fraction of what he managed to do. And I don't know. It was an incredible experience, and you're lucky to do things like that. And I acknowledge that. So I know I got off on a tangent there.
No, that was awesome.
No,
was great.
that's what we're here for. Go off on all the tangents. You're good.
I'm curious about that time in Toronto because it seems like it became a miniature Hollywood of the North. I mean, there was the Dawn remake, the Resident Evil first movie, the Land of the Dead. I mean, was that an exciting time as an actor to be in that area?
Well, yeah, and I mean, it was probably, considering how things have been since then, might have been the pinnacle. And I mean, that genre is still going strong, but I don't know. I miss it. I miss it for sure. Because it felt like there was a lot of possibilities, and as an actor who wants to do action and that sort of thing. But things have changed quite dramatically now, and I don't know. I'm having an identity crisis because, well, all these old action stars, we keep pretending like they could actually run a block or, knock somebody out. Like, come on, he's like 70. Just let it go. I can't, but I will. So it was nice that at least, in some of these movies, there was some action and, it was the things that keep you going, right? It's experiences like that you draw upon when things are tough, and it's hour 12 on a low budget thing. You're like, yeah, I remember the good days. Yep, and they will happen again. And yeah, definitely, both the big budget Land for Dead and low budget Diary of the Dead, they didn't have a different experience on set. It was the same George, so it was the same, and it was amazing to see how you could do a big budget movie but still have some intimacy in it and connection with the people there, because I think a person like George has gravity, and certain he would pull the good people towards him, I guess, and then you could tell that well, everybody just wants to make him proud, right? Yeah, it was neat. It was neat. There's not a lot of directors who get that sort of admiration from their crew, because some of them are just, well, they're not George. Let's put it that way. So.
You mentioned earlier your dedication to the written material, the what's actually contained in the script. But your scenes in Land were largely with John Leguizamo, and I've heard that he didn't stick too close to the script. How was that working with him?
Well, and that's the thing. When you get a star like John, and you're like, okay, well, as a nobody actor, are you done? Should I jump in? Are we still sticking? Or is this something completely different? So. Yeah, man. I mean, there's a lot of times you're just like, okay, sure, whatever you say, right? Because you're not going to take away whatever he's offering up to camera. But it's certainly entertaining because you never know what you're going to get each take. You're like, okay, that was different. Cool. Let's see what happens next. So in that regard, it's entertaining because the crew gets bored of hearing the same words over and over again. So it's entertaining. But yeah, it definitely keeps you on your toes. You're like, because a lot of times actors can not be actively listening to the other person speaking, so they'll just say whatever they were going to say. And like, well, wait, what did you say? I wasn't listening. Yeah, because you weren't engaged in the scene. So when somebody starts doing stuff like that, you're like, okay, I'm on my toes. What are we doing? Where are we at? And that's fun. And, it's fun to be able to see some actors be able to do that based on where they are in their career, and they can, take time from production to give something that they have to offer. Someone in my position just doesn't want to slow things to say the words and stand in the place and do the thing, because that's what you expect me to do. So, yeah, it's also intimidating because you're like, well, I don't want to mess this up. So, yep, but yeah, man, it was interesting. I mean, I don't know, there's it seems like there's less stars as we lose them year after year. And I don't know, with all the streaming services, it's different. You know, back then we make a movie. Well, everybody's going to go to the movie theater and watch that movie on Friday. If you go to the movies, that's what you do. But now it's concerning because like there's so much content and not much of it is really good because there's so much of it. And it's concerning. I know this is a tangent, but you said tangents were okay. It's concerning to see where AI brings us, because, you know, if an individual can make their own movie based on some typed prompts, it just changes the shared experience, right? So I don't know. It's interesting to see where we go from here, because, you know, back in those days, it was a movie for everybody versus personalized stuff. I'm unsure. I'm unsettled. But it's exciting times because, you know, anything's possible now, like literally. Half the things you look at, you're like, well, was that real? Or was that, you know, did somebody craft that, or did ones and zeros craft that? Which kind of changes things. And, you know, I mean, I even catch myself now sort of doubting half of the stuff I see. Like, I don't know. Unless I'm touching it, it's not real. And I just miss the shared experiences of a community. It seems we've all sort of been isolated for way too long. And, you know, back then, like, for example, on sets, nobody had cell phones. So nobody was with their head down, sort of, you know, doing whatever they're doing, business, sure. Avoiding talking with other people. On sets back then, you would sit there and have conversations. And if somebody didn't want to talk with other people, they read a damn book. So it was, it's interesting, you know, because I'm old now and I just complain about how things have changed and they're not the same. But it's, yeah, it really felt like the golden years. And I'm fortunate to have been a part of it, you know, and now here we are talking about the good old days.
Yeah, it's coming up on the 20th anniversary here next year, right, Matt?
Yeah. Filmed in 04, released in 05.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so it's, I mean, here's you and Simon Baker. You know, like you said, you know, you're worried about AI. AI can't replace how you bring that look. Like you're young and fresh. You're going out in the world on an important but deadly mission, and you've got to set the tone for that world in that first scene.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, here's hoping people still, you know. So,
no, I think you're good.
Well, your time on screen in Land of the Dead was relatively short, but how long were you on set making Land of the Dead?
I think realistically there would have been maybe 8 days, nights, really. And I was lucky because I wasn't one of the zombies in the lake, because apparently that was just like epic. I don't do well with cold and like rain machines and just like oh my God. So I was really blessed because I was dry and, you know, I had a sweater on. All I had to worry about was how John drove the dirt bike for a bit. But, you know, other than that, no concerns. Yeah. What was the question?
You answered it.
Yeah.
As long as I hit the thing.
Yeah. That was my first time in Canada. The one night I spent on set, and the scene that we filmed was the scene of the zombies after they got out of the lake. So they're staying there with the water sprayers to spray us down. And that was my first Canadian cold weather experience. And I was like, it's only October and it's already this cold and I don't like it.
I believe that's your first experience. That is so cruel and unusual, and I'm so sorry.
Yeah, they had the garden sprayers out and they're doing this with us. They're like, you just got out of the lake. And I was like, I hate this so much. I love this so much. It's like all the emotions.
Go away. Oh, I'm wet enough. Thanks.
Yeah, I'm good. No thanks.
Great.
Shawn, I'm curious how long it took you, you know, after getting the gig and everything for Land, how long it took you to get up to speed on George. That happened relatively fast, or?
Realistically, I think it had more to do with an accumulation of the time spending there, hearing, the murmurs of who we get to work with. Not just the stars, but like our director's a star, and that doesn't happen too often. You get bits and pieces as you go along, and you're like, okay, yeah, all right, sweet. Well, I hope I don't disappoint them. Yeah. I don't know. What else you got? Go off on random tangents, asking me questions for fucking 20 years ago. I can't remember what I did last week. So,
well,
go ahead, Matt. Sorry.
No. Go ahead.
Well, I was, obviously you've played a character in George's universe, and I mean, there's no way you're expecting a call to play another character in the same universe, are you?
Why not? I did a really good job. I showed up. I stood on the mark and I said the words, "Yeah, I'd like another job, please."
but I mean, you walk off the set of Land of the Dead. You assume you're done with this universe. I've been killed. I'm done here. I can't possibly come back, can I? And then you get the call. I mean, what's going through your mind when that happens?
I'll be honest. I didn't consider that I wasn't in the world anymore. So. Yeah, when I heard that he was working in town again, I was like, well, I hope I made a good enough impression that he'll at least consider me again. It was great to see him, and he had as much enthusiasm as he did the first time, which was a positive sign. I guess, I never really considered that I wasn't going to come back. Mm-hmm. That's the only reason why I'm still doing it 30 years later, because you're like, it's going to work out and I'll get another job, hopefully with people that I've worked before with. So, yeah.
And did he have you in mind for the role in Diary of the Dead, or is that or was there a process to getting that role?
Maybe he did. I don't know. You would have had to have asked him. In Canada, we have laws that state that you can't just, here you go, here's a job. So everybody has to have a chance, opportunity, equal, chance. And so it was an audition, and just jump in, say the words. Good to see you again. Awesome. Go home, wait for a call, show up, do the work. I know it sounds less, romantic, but it's just, it is what it is.
Well, and on Diary, you obviously were there for the vast majority of the shoot playing Tony. You survived, spoilers. How much, and you kind of touched on it, did he give you a lot of leeway with your character? Because Tony's kind of the doubter of the group. Like, he's not the antagonist, but he is definitely the naysayer. Did he give you a lot of freedom to move that character around to bring that to life?
Well, I think, a good director sort of helps guide an actor. I never felt like he was sort of had an idea that wasn't on the page. Like I stated before, I'm not going to come in with a bunch of ideas of my own. Here's what I think your written script should be about. Because that's, I just always consider that to be disrespectful. So, I don't know. I did what was on the page, and that's how I operate.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, George always was definitely known for the collaboration. So people always not came in with the notes like, here you go, Mr. Romero, here's 12 pages of notes. I need you to change the script. But he always allowed a little bit of wiggle room because the character would grow organically, and you'd be like, can I try it like this? Or how if I, move this way? Did you do any of that? Did anything kind of stick out? Or you were just kind of like, yep, I got George's vision in mind and I'm going to deliver what he wants?
20 years ago. Yeah. When a director says something, you do that and you make the adjustments, and that's that.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of times it's okay. What am I, right? So, um, yeah, he would encourage me to have fun with it. Sometimes rein it in, sometimes go for it. Like you do. So.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting because because you're on screen, you kind of become the star of Diary in a way. In that you're being directed, you're as the star. That's the way you're kind of being. I don't know, motivated in a way. Your actions are just merely being captured, but also in kind of a disturbing way they're being directed. Like the scene that always comes to mind, and you nail this scene is I can't remember, something traumatic has just happened. You're in the Winnebago, and he's zooming in on you and his girlfriend, and he wants you to put your arm around his girlfriend, and comfort her for the sake of the product. And you want to, he wants to do this, and you're irritated, but you have to do it anyway because you care about her. It's like this dual action that's going on. That's kind of brilliant, and I don't know. Just that's the one scene that I just stands out to me in that movie. That it's just kind of tells the story of what George is trying to accomplish with Diary, or how he's trying to tell those two different stories at the same time.
He was good at what he did. That's for sure.
Yeah. No, I would love to have seen a buddy cop type movie with you and Todd Schroeder. Your two characters played well off each other. And, he was the philosopher, the old guy who was basically like, all right, world's ending, we're going to drink. And you're just, your character's like kind of angry. Like the dynamic of those two characters is what I like most about Diary. They played well off each other. He was, you were the brash student who wanted, to make sure he got his credits. The movie was, so over budget, and he's like, yeah, go with it. It's his vision. And I loved how you two played off each other. And I really appreciated that about Diary.
Nice. Well, thank you. Yeah. Sometimes you get lucky, and, you find how to do the dance, and sometimes it's works, sometimes it doesn't, I guess,
Yeah. Yeah, because Land was really, from what I remember seeing, kind of almost like your first foray into horror, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So did you approach horror differently from what you had done before?
Nope. Well, I spent some time working with No, I didn't. On the mark, and I said the words. Yeah, it's exciting because, I'm going to be in a movie in the theaters, and, with Land of the Dead. Diary of the Dead, you're like, okay, maybe we'll be in some festivals, but it's all exciting. And, doing the movie itself is the reward. So anything that comes beyond that, you're like, okay, cool. Well, that was fun. If it happens, great. If it doesn't, oh well. But, and that definitely holds true with the experience of Stop it. Work. Sorry, dogs. I'm trying, man. I'm trying here. Working with George is that it's easier, I guess, and I don't know. It felt like somebody who is rooting for you. I mean, there's no other way to put it. You're like somebody who wants you to be able to show your best, and in a way that doesn't take away from anybody else, and is on time and on budget. It was good. It was be able to have those experiences, because as I moved further into my career, at least I had something to draw upon, and it was a blessing.
Yeah. I think Eric needs to make a shirt that says I stood on the mark and I said the words. I love that approach.
And that's the thing about Diary. It's supposed to be kind of a found footage, kind of natural dialogue kind of thing. So it surprises me that you guys stuck to the script so rigidly. there was no room for improv whatsoever?
I'm not saying that. Other actors could have been doing whatever the fuck they wanted to. At my words, because I read the script, I knew what we were shooting that day. You know, I mean, I just don't want to waste people's time. So like, let's do the work. Let's get the work that we all agreed upon on the page really well. You know, I mean, sure, I want to walk this way around the couch versus the other way. Why? Like, we have the lighting this entire way. Why are you going to be difficult? You know, so there's not a lot of that. You know, stop. Sorry. Phone all day. I've been at work, so yeah, dealing with this. Sorry.
It's all right. I got 2 of them, so I get it.
Nice, thank you.
Yeah. Before we move on, we do have a question. Do you still have the surfboard that you got in Sundance? Suze would like to know.
No, because like I didn't even have the ability to bring it home. So, but it was cool because, like, yeah, back then they were, you know, you got gift suites and stuff. You're like, ooh, we'll take pictures with this. Nowadays, like, no, you're giving it to influencers. We don't have the budget for that. You ain't getting nothing but like dinner. So yeah, I don't. Sadly, I don't in those days.
So.
We had another question from Alpha Romero. It's like, what is the current state of the film industry in Canada?
Dismal. That's why I have 3 other jobs. I mean, don't ask me because, like, I'm not the guy that they hire anymore. The culture has changed, and, like, I don't know if you guys realize, you probably do because we're in the same boat. Like, I'm the enemy for the most part. So, yeah, I mean, there's some bad guys that I get to play, but, you know, and if I do get the job. Right now, basically everything stopped after the American strike happened because basically our industry exists to serve any American and foreign production. Our government takes tax money from every Canadian to put into the CBC, which is a propaganda machine, and nobody watches any of the content on there. So unfortunately, like, anybody with some real talent and skill usually just leaves this country because there is no star system here for actors. So you can be somebody who's been in the industry for 30 years and you're still going out for like 2-line roles because, well, that's what's available. And, well, you know, maybe this isn't the time to ask me this question because I've just had a huge identity crisis with being an actor and sort of gambling my entire life to have nothing to show for it. So, yeah, you know, I mean, the state of the industry is strange because there's a lot of controls that are being put into place, or at least there had been over the last few years. And that was, you know, challenging to overcome. And it's, yeah, if you can do anything else, do anything else, because this isn't promising. I mean, sure, there's probably more work available now in the Canadian film industry than there has been over the last 3 years, but I'm worried that there's nothing worth anybody wants to watch. I don't know. I see what's on TV and nobody watches TV anymore. Cable is less viewership than YouTube. Who's going to pay $25 to go and sit in a movie theater when I can sit at home and smoke my weed there, right? So it's interesting. It's challenging. We are now at the echo, I guess, boom bust echo part of the existence of what television and film and entertainment production is and was. You know, Hollywood doesn't exist anymore because productions happen everywhere. Technology is available everywhere. And, you know, when I got an influencer with some YouTube channel getting more views, more likes, more money than somebody who's dedicated their entire life to doing it in a system that is collapsing and nothing but, you know, fossil fuel soon. So it's, yeah, I hate to, sort of give you how I'm feeling about things, but I don't have very many filters, and or any filters. So this is just how I see it. And it's really sad because, you wait your entire career because everybody tells you, oh man, your best role is going to happen in your 30s. It's when, everybody hits it and you're in and you do it. And, yeah, except no. And so now just, do anything you can like anybody else to survive and give up on your dreams because, it's foolish. And, yeah, I don't know. It's just, you're unrewarded basically for your sacrifice. And, it's shitty. That's how the film industry is. It's shitty.
Well, I'm the type of person that I would love. I love to see how people are passionate with what they do and they tell the truth. And I appreciate that. And I would love someone to see something like this and be like, you know what, I'm going to go make a movie. And they just happen to be in Canada and they can call you up or cast you, that the thing to, screw how it is now. I want to add to it, and hopefully that inspires some filmmakers to be like, well, okay, it's not good now, but I'm going to do my part to make it something and not just resign themselves to, oh, it's bad or it's there's nothing here. So, it's good to talk about stuff like this and the way it is. And I was at the movie theater this past weekend and it was the most crowded I've seen the movie theater in a long time.
Nice. Good. Well, that's hopeful. It's just that there's a financial system that exists to push certain messages forward. So, a movie like Here for Blood, which is on Screenbox, it came out on February 9th. Sorry, I guess I should do that. Is a movie that was made by the people versus financial institutions looking for an outcome. And yeah, the reality is we're not going to get the movies that we like to see from Marvel, as you can see what happened there. We're going to have independent filmmakers put their creativeness in because, when you have 15 executives on a film and everybody has their input, do you actually get anything of any quality or do you get some mishmash of like some stew? Like it's not what I want to eat. What I wanted was meat and potatoes and now I just have some mush. Right. So, and as an audience, I hope other people feel it too. Is like I remember when I was a kid watching movies and being inspired. And by the time the movie was over, you're like, I want that sense of adventure or I want, that message, whatever it was in that story, you could find ways to apply it to your life. I don't have those feelings anymore. And I don't know whether or not it's just that, and I don't know how to articulate this, but basically pardon me, whatever, there used to be barriers to get into creating content, right? I mean, you had to be committed to doing it, not just have something to record your thoughts and then send it out for everybody to see and maybe it works. And because there were those barriers, there was quality thresholds that were met and expected. Talent was developed. One of the things I've noticed over the last decade is that, as far as crew members go, well, it used to be that, somebody did something for years and got good at it, got promoted, went to the next thing. Basically anybody who had a pulse could show up now and there's no set etiquette. There's no, understanding of the craft, let's put it that way. So now it becomes very much a surface sort of flimsy veneer of what movies and art, if I will, what it used to be. And I don't know. I mean, as we get into this artificially created landscape, I'm hopeful that some individuals will call their aunts and uncles and grandma and grandpa and their friends and everybody else to be able to put a couple of dollars together so they can not get rich, but tell stories. Because I'll tell you, like, there are more people who are sleeping on couches and just surviving in the industry than there are those who are rich. So, it's starving artists is a real thing, and you know, I mean, content creators and YouTube, get your TikTok, go for it, man. I don't know what to tell you. That would be my advice to anybody who wants to be famous. Frankly, it's the last thing I could stand. So I'm glad that never happened, because that'd be annoying as fuck. So I guess it's a blessing in disguise.
No, I love it. I love the real talk. I love you hearing about what the industry's like from someone who's there, who's living it, who's not insulated from the real movie making world, that can just show up on set, deliver their lines, go back to their trailer. You're out there making the movies that I think people should be seeing, like Here for Blood and these independent films. Because, like I said, independent films are the gems, not even the diamonds in the rough. They're the gems that are out there that I think the spotlight needs to be on. And you guys are out there. They're passion projects. Like you said about Here for Blood, you're having fun. There's some great stories that are coming out of these films that I think people need to be aware of. And I believe with places like Screambox and Shudder, there are places where you can be seen, and these movies and ideas can be seen, and hopefully are generating some motivation and inspiration to get other people to get on board to do this stuff.
Well, and that's definitely, you know, I'm glad you brought that point up, that we now have the opportunity in communities of like-minded individuals. So, you know, I mean, we're not going to be able to, you know, build a complete industry off of some support for, you know, what you're doing. And I think it's important for even the fans to be able to have a spot to be able to go to, where you can talk on the message board and you know, want to leave a comment and somebody else understands where you're coming from. Because, you know, horror fanatics are a certain type of person, and, you know, it's nice to be able to be like, you get it. Wasn't that an amazing part when they did that? Whatever. And so I do think it's good. It's just different, and I'm old, so I complain about things. But, you know, it is exciting because, yeah, I mean, you can see things nowadays that probably never would have seen the light of day before, you know. So it's interesting. We'll see.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, I know we're getting close to the hour, and I didn't want to get out of here without asking. Had you ever been approached, or would you ever consider appearing on the convention circuit?
That's the whole plan for this year. Absolutely, because, you know, I mean, you're not going to be making movies, not going to be doing that. I mean, at least it feels like you're, you know, it's still a part of the community. Go and meet people, and if I just feel silly because, like, who's really? I'm glad to be there to be entertained, to see all the stuff that's going on, but it feels silly that I don't know who's going to come and sit. I'm sitting at a table. It feels silly a lot of the time.
I got 2 posters I need you to sign.
Me too.
I will absolutely do gladly, and it's an honor to do that, honestly. And that's the thing that always kind of feels weird, because, like, for actors sometimes, like, that's a job, and the reality is it's like an honor, the fact that anybody shows up anyway. So I don't know, I have some hesitation about doing it because of that thing. I'm just like, no, I'm grateful you're here, so just, like, cool, thank you. And yeah, I don't know, I'm interested though, because I got a guy, and we're getting some shows booked, and hopefully there's more opportunities, because we all been locked in our houses for so long that maybe now we can get out, we can do some travel, meet some people, and a lot has happened over the last few years, so it would be nice to be a part of the community again. So yeah, we're definitely trying this year to get out there and do it. And was it kiss babies and shake hands? That's it. Yeah.
There you go. Well, we have the
kiss hands, right?
They both work. Okay. Now we have the Living Dead weekend, that is a George Romero centric convention out in Pittsburgh at the Monroeville Mall, the setting for Dawn of the Dead, and it's all Romero based. So I know there's a lot of people in the comments that have been, we've been wanting you. I know I've been wanting you to come out. I've been wanting to meet you for years, and they're the hardcore Romero fans, so they will definitely come out in droves. And you got to remember, this is you. You're Wesker.
Yep.
You're Wesker, and let's look there. You're part of the MCU. You were the first person to be affected by mutant powers in the X-Men, and there's so much out there that you've done that I think people know you're there. I mean, again, you're Wesker, Resident Evil. Someone in the crowd tonight, our friend Brandon is making a documentary on the unmade George Romero Resident Evil movie.
Very cool.
So, our friend Brandon Salisbury it's close to getting done, and George was going to be the first person to bring Resident Evil to screen, and there's a big tie-in there, and you ended up working with George, so that's definitely something to be shouting from the rooftop.
It's been a trip, but I got to be a part of the magic. I'm not the magic, so it was, it was an honor. That's for sure.
Absolutely.
Good.
All right, Shawn, we want to thank you for coming on and joining us tonight. And we want to remind everybody to check out Here for Blood on Screambox, and be on the lookout for any potential physical media that may be coming in the future. Hopefully, fingers crossed. So we're excited about that too.
Yep, I know I'll be picking it up. I'm a physical media nut. If there's a behind the scenes and an audio commentary, it is an automatic buy for me. So if you can put some words in there to the guys, if they're making anything, to throw an audio commentary or two on there, best thing they can do.
Well, my advice to anybody watching, if you're, even thinking about it, just hang on to Grandma's entertainment system.
You're talking to two guys who have a lot of physical media players in their house. So trust me, we shout that from the rooftops.
Excellent.
Absolutely. All right. Well, thank you, Shawn, and we hope to see you on a convention circuit or in a movie screen very soon.
Well, I appreciate you guys, and the fact that you're doing this and keeping the memory alive. I think that's it's important work, and I'm glad you guys have taken it under your wing, or taken a hold of it, and I appreciate it. It's been an honor. And yeah, man, we're gonna keep walking forward and get one step at a time, and hopefully we can see you face to face sooner than later.
Let's hope so, man. I really want to.
Looking forward to it.
All right.
All right. Thank you so much, Tom.
All right.
Thanks, Shawn. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
See ya.
All right.
Mr.
That was great. That was great.
Yeah, it's neat to talk to someone who worked with George in the later years. And like I said, he had a smaller role in Land, but then in Diary, like you said, he was kind of like one of the main characters.
He was not the star, because Creed was the star, but Creed was directing him as he was the star of Creed's movie.
Yeah, after they started making the real movie, after everything started, and I feel that he had some of the best lines in Diary, and he was almost like the audience character. More on the cynical side, but he was more of the real world, like, well, okay, this can't be happening. Wait, you want me to say what on camera? And that was always fun to watch with him. And, he made me chuckle in Diary. I really appreciated that. So
it surprises me there wasn't more just kind of improv with the dialogue, just to kind of make it more natural. But then when you watch it, I'm thinking back on some scenes, though, it does seem scripted at the same, you know what I mean? A lot of the scenes that I'm flashing back to, they do seem very scripted. So,
and I wonder too if maybe Shawn brought that type of energy where George didn't need him to change anything, and George was completely satisfied with what he was bringing. He's like, I stood on the mark, I said the lines, and George was happy. I don't need to do anything different, and that's definitely a different approach to the people that, you know, we've talked to over the years that have worked with George, that, you know, if they have an idea, they'll say, hey, George, can I say it this way? And George will be like, yeah, okay. Shawn knew what to deliver, and George must have been okay with it, because it didn't sound like that there was much, you know, back and forth about the character of Tony that they had to go through.
Yeah. Well, before we get out of here, we had a couple of announcements we needed to get to, and also, if you joined us late, we're moving to a first Wednesday of every month schedule. So we'll be announcing the next show shortly. So yeah, set your calendars.
That's right. First Wednesday of the month, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That doesn't mean we might not drop an additional show here or there, but we're going to be live every first Wednesday of the month. And like Eric said, before we get out of here, we got some news and topics to go through from the GARF. So in terms of GARF initiatives, we have Scream Like a Girl. It's time to scream like a girl and help the GARF celebrate final girls during Women's History Month. Send us a video of your best scream. The winner will get exclusive merch and be named the GARF's 2024 Scream Queen. Anyone can enter. Email us your name, social media handles, and your best scream at contact@thegarf.org. We also have exclusive merch for Women's History Month. The GARF has released new merch only available during the month of March 2024. Check out the shop for new merch celebrating women in horror. Remember that your purchase helps the foundation continue its work in supporting young artists and preserving George's legacy. And don't forget the Dead podcast. The GARF is currently collaborating with Bloody Disgusting for the new scripted podcast series, The Dead. It's now in its third season. Don't miss new episodes every Tuesday wherever you listen to podcasts. So we've got a lot of stuff going on, Mr. Eric, since the last time we were on the air in October, and I'm excited to be back in the saddle with you again. And you know, we're gonna continue to build this momentum back up and bring a lot of new and exciting shows. We're gonna do old stuff, new stuff, all the stuff. I'm just ready. I'm ready to do all the stuff. Everyone, people in the comments like, oh, it's great to see you guys again. And I'm like, you know what? It's great to see you guys too. This is always fun.
Absolutely. So, well, until next time, which we believe will be, well, I don't even want to mention it. We talked about it at the front of the show, and we think that's going to be it. But until next Wednesday, geez, what's the date going to be?
What is the first Wednesday?
April
3rd.
We'll see you on April 3rd. I'm Eric.
I'm Matt.
And we'll see you next time on the GARF Network. GARF 247.